The interactive marketer, actually, that term is, I don't really know that many people that actually have that title. So it's a mixture of a bunch of different titles. It could be PR, it could be corp comm, it could be web marketing, it could be web strategy. Where are they in the organization? They're typically a decision maker. Actually, we have some clients that are PR firms too. So they have clients. And actually, some of the vendors end up being our clients as well. So it's a lot of decision makers who have to figure out where the directions they have to go. This is a new world where they don't understand how to let go to gain control. That's very hard for them because they're used to holding control, and it's really shifted over. So what I often tell them is the power has shifted to the participants. So all the people that are participating now, they have control over a lot of stuff. So what they need to do is they need to understand how to participate and know how to participate in the right way. There's a lot of companies that are doing it wrong. They're still exerting control, or they just haven't let go fully, and it's very hard. And for many corporations, quite honestly, they're probably never going to get it right. This is going to be an ongoing battle because the way corporations interact internally, the structure, the way they're designed, the way success metrics are done, it's not conducive to understanding how community happens. And what I mean by that is the competitors of theirs that do know how to make conversations and talk openly using these social tools with their customers will do well. The ones that don't get it, that end up doing copyright violations or suing people or saying we don't talk to bloggers, they end up missing out on what's happening. Now, the conversation is another word for what happens in a community. And a community is another word for marketplace, believe it or not. So it's like saying I'm not going to partake in my marketplace. It's very challenging.
Let's go through this. We had a question. I mentioned that I was seeing you on Twitter, and Alex DiCavallo of Miami Beach, Florida, emailed in and said, what do you think is the difference between a marketing manager and a communities manager?
Interesting. Well, okay, this is good. Let's start with the marketing manager because we're very familiar with who that is. The marketing manager is designed to get the fundamental thing is a marketing person their job is to get a product and a customer together. That is their ultimate goal. A marketing manager is designed to create communications that facilitate that actual goal. Now, a community manager is a little bit different. Their primary focus, and I actually have a report on this, on community managers. I interviewed some of the top community managers that we know out there and looked at a bunch of job descriptions.
Can you name a few of the top community managers?
Yep. Lionel Menchaca from Dell. Sean O'Driscoll, who was at Microsoft MVP program. Connie Benson, AC/DC. I wasn't the greatest, but I was one of the early players in the space at Hitachi. And Alex as well. And the community manager's job, their focus is not on the marketing message. Their primary focus is they are an advocate of the community, of the customers themselves. Without it, they have no credibility, and they'll never be able to fulfill both objectives. Now, the community manager has a very, very tough role. They have to have two different balances. They have to fulfill the needs of the community and as well as the needs of the company. Ideally, it should be the same, but often it's not. What are online community best practices? What do the most common successful communities have all in common? So that was one of the things. And the second one is a lot of companies have a hard time understanding if they should build their own social network, such as those 60 white labels that I talked about out there, or should they just go join one on Facebook? So the questions I was asking out there, and I was trying to get a discussion going so I can learn what people were saying and thinking, and also to raise some areas of awareness because I had some answers here eventually. Should companies build or join communities? Now, when I positioned it like that, it came across very harsh to the purists like yourself and Doc Searles. But in reality, I was really talking about the tools. And
so you don't think that I should have a conversation with a Coke bottle on Twitter? You knew there was going to be one ringer in there.
So there are brands that have Twitter accounts, and I actually think that's okay. But let me elaborate. Twitter isn't always a conversational tool. Sometimes it's just a messaging tool, talking. For example, sometimes I want to get updates about traffic, or I want to get the latest prices on something, or I want to know when Firefox has been when there's a new update out there, or if when my server's gone down on my blog, which has happened a lot. I just want an update. I don't need a conversation. So it really depends on what is the objective that you're trying to accomplish. With that said, 99% of Twitter is a conversation. And typically what we're seeing is Oracle. A lot of Oracle employees are on Twitter, and they call themselves like Julio at Oracle, or whatever, Michael at Oracle. And I think that's great. They're doing a lot of different good things about having a real conversation. You know it's them, but they're also representing their brand. I'm not having a conversation with a database. I'm having a conversation with Julio.
You seem to be at a flex point between the vendors and the vendors and your customers. And the vendors want access to the customers, and the customers want good stuff. I've got a bunch of questions there. The first one is, what trends do you see going on?
Specifically in social media, in the social media industry, if I can call it an industry, which I will, social networking is really hot. People, this is what clients are asking for, and this is what vendors are moving towards. Widgets are going to continue to grow in 2008. This will be, expect to see a lot of activity around that. What's not as hot is, well, I think we've seen a plateau where blogging, we understand what it is. It's no longer overhyped, and we see the value. Podcasting has its niche value as well, but it's not. The markets are not coming to us raging for that. So it's really around social networks and widgets. So people are creating a lot of video and a lot of experimentation. Brands, companies, employees haven't really adopted it as fully. It tends to be special professional media groups like yourself, and consumers are creating a lot of it. Marketers just haven't done it because there's a higher cost to do it. And another pain point is marketers want to do it right. They don't want it to look junky. They don't want it to look crappy, unless they're trying to replace a brand. Like if they have an evil brand, from Redmond, then it's okay to do a really crappy looking video. But for most companies, they're not considered evil. There's very few companies that have that problem. So they want to do it very professionally, and it costs more resources than they have to do editorial. So it's just not as adopted as rapidly.
Okay. Let's go back to the vendors.
These are all fun questions. Keep them
Yeah. These are the guys my hearts have been with. I've worked with them for, don't tell anybody, but about 30 years. And they come through the door with dreams, and what they really want to do is get your socks blown off. Mm-hmm. The first question is, how often do you end up with no socks?
Pretty rare. I want to give some tips to the vendors out there, and talk directly to you. You need to be really good communicators, and that means you need to actually, practice exactly, what you're going to be telling me. What are you going to be presenting? So that means you have to have a message. Leave the marketing hyperbole at home. I don't want to hear how you're best of class, because we're going to ask you what class is that. I don't want to hear that you're, industry best leader, because we're going to ask you which industry is that.
Stop spanking them and tell them what you do want to hear.
Okay, great. You need to differentiate yourself from the other guys. You need to tell me how you're solving a customer problem. You need to tell me how how a customer came to you with a problem, and what did you do to fix it, and what are the ending measurable results. So those are the things that we're looking for, and how you're different.
This is my take on Jeremiah Owyang and Forrester Research. I've known Jeremiah since shortly before he became a blogger. I was among those that encouraged him to become a blogger. There are few people, if any, I know in social media who's harder working than Jeremiah. As he mentioned in the interview, he gets up at 3:30 in the morning and calls it his time, but he spends his time blogging and tweeting and listening to the social media community. On the continuum of that which is interesting and that which is useful, Robert Scoble may be among the most interesting of us, but Jeremiah is the data guy. He provides an incredible amount of useful data to enterprise marketing clients. My takeaway from this interview is that Forrester picked the right time and the right guy to dedicate senior human resources to the issue of social media. As Jeremiah mentioned in the interview, He has an endless parade of social media companies coming in to visit him, and he seems to have an endless demand from marketing clients in large enterprises for more information, for more how-tos, for more data. And all of this is really, as far as I can tell, just beginning. I think that Jeremiah is a rising star in a rising category, and as time goes by, we'll be hearing increasingly more of him as an independent and accurate resource of trend and data in social media. This is Shel Israel. Take care.